Hey, it's the We've Been Drinking MMA podcast. In this video, we are talking about the Almeida Lewis fight. This particular part of the podcast is the Diakiese Fernandes. I'm going Diakiese.
Yep, that's lousy. This is backhand. I'm also going with Marc Diakiese. He's minus 150, $150 to profit 100.
In fact, that's probably pretty good odds, actually.
I like those odds. I mean, listen, we want to talk about, how we're going to bet it. I think it's Diakiese straight up in this fight.
Money line with those odds?
Yeah, minus 150 for a guy who, how many years, bro, has Marc Diakiese been in the UFC? I mean, honestly, he's been back since 2016, so 7-8 years with the company. And he is 7-7 in the UFC. However, he's fought good fighters pretty much his whole career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's got wins over Joe Duffy, Lando Venata, who's, a guy who dropped Tony Ferguson when Tony Ferguson was in his prime, right? So we're talking about all that back when they were good, 4 or 5 years ago. If you look at it, he is 2-2 in the UFC in his last 4 fights. But then you look at Kaue Fernandes, this is his first fight in the UFC.
First fight in general.
So, and he's 2-1 in his last 3, but this is his first fight in the UFC. He's gotten 2 first-round finishes, and like we said, so he's 2-1 in his last 3. He's 8-1 overall record, But ultimately, you look at Marc Diakiese. He's really he's got a good arsenal, and he's turned into a wrestler, and so
he used to be a headhunter.
Yeah, and he's got a good arsenal, whereas Kaue Fernandes, not so much on the arsenal. He's more of a guy who is a good leg kicker. Kind of hesitant with his punches, not good enough
in
at
the pocket too. So.
He's got a good record, but overall, it's like he's one of those guys where he doesn't throw enough punches to beat a veteran like Marc Diakiese, in our opinion.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we'll explain the 2 losses by Diakiese. I mean, he's lost in his last fight versus Joel Alvarez, but Alvarez is 5-2 in the UFC, and Alvarez on top of that, has finished every fighter. He finished Thiago Moises, who's top 15, and his only losses are against ranked fighters. Damir Azmagulov, which is his first fight in the UFC, and then Armen Saryukin, who is obviously top 5, top 7.
He's probably going to fight for the belt pretty soon.
Oh, yeah, he can fight any wrestler who, and right now Makhachev is the champion, and we know that Saryukin went the distance with him and can grapple with Makhachev, which was what you need to do to fight a guy like that. So we're talking about Marc Diakiese, how he lost to Alvarez in his last fight, but Alvarez is got, Alvarez has only lost to the top tier in the UFC, and so you can excuse that loss. And then his second loss, which is 2 fights ago, he lost to Michael Johnson, who's perennial top 15.
He's always been in the
I mean, the guy
another gatekeeper.
A lot of people say he's the first guy who actually punched Khabib, right? And like Khabib, shook it off, but it was it was legit. People would talk about it. Khabib, the goat,
of all time.
Other than John Jones, it's him and Khabib literally never bled, never got a scratch, and he got actually hit by Michael Johnson with an overhand.
He made him bleed his own blood.
So we're saying we can excuse the last 2 losses because, again, it's Joel Alvarez, who's 5-2 and only lost a top tier competition in the UFC. Michael Johnson is second to last loss, which was top 15 fighter, perennial top 15, great fighter. And then he's got the other 2 fights are wins, right? So you look at it and it's like, okay, now you can understand the losses. Now we got to talk about the arsenal. Right, Marc Diakiese can not only can he leg kick as fast, and I would say just a little bit faster and harder than Kaue Fernandes, his current opponent, but Marc Diakiese can front kick you to the body.
Yeah.
He can wrestle. I mean, really fast wrestling.
I mean, double leg you, not body lock and strong arm you to the ground, take both your legs, lift you up, and to put you on the ground.
None of that hold on for dear life and to drag you down crap. It's literally a guy who can double leg you with his speed in the open
style.
Yeah, he can rush you against the cage, sure, but he can open space, take you down. And then, of course, his punches and his combinations, he can load up, but a lot of times he's just kind of leaps in with a nice straight punch, like a hooking punch even, and he uses the length of his punch. And in this fight, it's important because he's got a 73-inch reach, which is really good length for the lightweight, considering there's a lot of great fighters out of this weight class who are at 71, 70, 72. Khabib, again, Nurmagomedov was 70-inch reach, Alvarez 70-inch reach. So this guy is long for the weight class.
Yes.
He's got experience because he's been around for 7 years. You can explain his last 2 losses and realize that he only lost against really, really good fighters. And the other guy just doesn't have the arsenal. He's more of a leg kicker. And the leg kicks, but then his punches are too hesitant, I would say.
Yeah, right in the pocket. He just sits and waits.
Right. So numbers wise, power wise,
people out with the one punch.
Yeah.
Like we watched his last fight where he knocked what was it? Hugo.
Yeah.
I believe Hugo was his last name.
Right.
And he stood in weight. The guy was about to leg kick, I believe,
Mhm.
and he just overhand left him. And that's not gonna work with Diakiese.
Right.
Like a one punch overhand, it's not gonna surprise him.
No. Especially because Marc Diakiese is faster than Fernandes,
Yes.
and also Diakiese keeps distance better than Fernandes.
Yes, very much so.
Also, we saw Fernandes in one of the fights, he got taken down and submitted. And again, Diakiese, so Fernandes is susceptible to the takedown. We know that Marc Diakiese, the favorite in this fight, is a guy who is now turning into having a full arsenal where he likes to go for takedown. So he can win this fight in any way, on the feet, on the ground, whatever he wants.
Yeah, whatever he wants to do.
Submission, TKO.
Is especially with this guy being his first fight, he might have a little bit of jitters, and
That too.
Diakiese is probably going to take advantage of
Dude,
that.
Diakiese's so experienced. Again, he's fought really great fights. He's fought like Fiziev, went the distance with Fiziev, who's a monster, right? Who's a guy.
Hawkparast.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's fought some really great fighters for 7 years. So yeah, listen, Marc Diakiese minus 150, $150 to profit
That's
100.
good value.
I think it's really good value. We love the price. Appreciate the listening. Thank you so much also for last event, all the support.
Yeah, all the support. That meant so much, guys. Thank you for saying such kind words for us.
It was amazing. It was amazing. Please like, subscribe, and comment for that YouTube algo.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey, we've been drinking MMA. This is the breakdown of the Almeida Lewis fight night card, and this fight is between Eduarda Moura versus Montserrat Conejo Ruiz. This is backhand. My pick is Eduarda Moura.
Moura for me too.
More for everybody. If you
here a Moura, there a Moura.
Listen, Eduarda Moura is minus 480. She's $480 to profit 100, so she's a hefty favorite. She is undefeated, 9-0, and she's finished all of her fights except one, which was and she's more of a submission person, but she also has some TKOs from she's a ground fighter mostly, but
she got the belt.
Yeah, she got the
in
her last promotion.
Her last promotion, yes.
Yeah. And she's got one contender series fight, which is the minor leagues in the UFC, and she's got a submission win there in the first round.
Gotta start somewhere.
So Montserrat Conejo Ruiz, the opponent, the underdog. The thing is, she's
Big
1-2.
Yeah,
she's 1-2 in the UFC. She ran into Amanda Lemos, who is a title contender. And Lemos just laid her out. But, the thing is that Montserrat Ruiz, Conejo Ruiz she was walking into the punches.
Yeah, just walking right into him.
She just, no care in the world, walking into the punches, and she got laid
Sunday
out.
Stroll. Oh, jab.
And then in her last fight, it was more of the same. She was keeping the distance, but I think she just can't help herself. She needs action. She fought against Armen, and, Armen, same deal. She was walking into punches here and there in the second round, started to. And then in the third round, she actually got a takedown. But again, the ground fighting was just not good enough. And then the other girl, Armen, reversed. It was amazing. Reversed her and then just TKO'd her on the ground. So it just shows that she's not good at ground fighting. And guess who's great at ground fighting? Eduarda Moura in this fight.
She's a good grappler.
It's a horrible style matchup. And then, Lousy, we got to talk about this. I mean, we have to. Eduarda Moura has a 6-inch reach advantage.
Yes.
On top of that, she's got a 6-inch height advantage.
Yes.
It's going to look like two different weight classes in this fight.
Ruiz is a big wrestler, so when you have that big of a reach and height advantage, it's going to be a problem for the shorter fighter.
Right, and then one more thing I wanted to say.
She's going to need to close that gap. It's going to be really tough.
It's going to be super tough. I mean, if your thing is to walk forward and you walk into punches already and you're trying to throw these 2-3 punch combos and then the other girl has a 6-inch reach advantage, she's going to light you up.
Yes.
And she's going to take you down. So the only win that Montserrat Conejo Ruiz, the underdog, has is in the UFC is against Cheyenne Vlismas. But guess what? Cheyenne Vlismas is 2-2 in the UFC. However, her 2 wins are misleading because one of the wins is against a woman who went like 1-3 and then it bounced out of the UFC, released. And then also she had a win against Martin. And Martin is like 0-4 in her last 4 fights in the UFC, so she's going to be released soon. So again, even though Ruiz has a 2-2 record a 1-2 record, and the 1 win comes over a 2-2 fighter, it's a misleading 2-2 fighter. She's her 2 wins I discount them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying that right now. I discounted them.
Dust your shoulder off.
Don't count.
Get
Don't count.
Get 'em out of here.
So ultimately, her win is over in my opinion, a fighter who's really more of a losing fighter. So it doesn't mean anything. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No offense.
Ruiz is just what she's known for is her takedowns and her wrestling. It's just going to be tough against Moura. So I think Moura is going to control this fight.
Listen, Moura's the faster fighter, the longer fighter, the smarter fighter, the more opportunistic fighter who can take you down on a quickly, very, if she sees an opening, she can. And Ruiz, I feel bad for her because she constantly puts herself in danger and is left open with her head open, with her body open to get taken down. I mean, Eduarda Moura should be able to do pretty much whatever she wants with Ruiz, with the speed and reach advantage and just the IQ factor. So
good confidence on this pick.
Yeah, she is minus 480, but it's good. I'm gonna slap her on a parlay. Yeah. See if the double chance is at like minus 150 for a sub or KO, because I really do feel Ruiz. You look at Ruiz and her 2 losses come from finishes.
Leaning towards sub, but
sub or KO, and the 2 losses from Ruiz come from getting TKO'd. So yeah, that's the pick. Thank you so much for listening, and
like, subscribe, and comment, please. We like that stuff. This is We've Been Drinking MMA. We are talking about the Denise Gomes versus Angela Hill on the Almeida
Lewis.
Derek Lewis fight.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought for a second. And the reason is because Gomes is gonna win by murder in this fight.
Denise Gomes is Lousy's pick. Denise Gomes is my pick. This is backhand. Denise Gomes is minus 140, 140 to profit 100. And the thing is, she's a rising star, isn't she? 23 years old.
Yeah, and she's dangerous.
She's getting better from fight to fight. And what we mean by better from fight to fight is scary getting good from fight to fight. She's
not fighting the other person's fight. She's fighting her fight, and with her striking, it's dangerous.
I mean, to be fair, Angela Hill, so Denise Gomes is the favorite, minus 140, 140 to profit 100. But Angela Hill has been around forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
And she's tough as nails.
Tough as nails. She can take a lot of punishment. But the thing is, though, in this fight, Denise Gomes is only 2-1 in the UFC. However, her 1 loss is to a really, really great Muay Thai kickboxer fighter.
Ooh,
it was just trading blow for blow. Yeah. It was amazing.
Super strong.
Super exciting.
And she just took her down and just controlled that fight. But in this fight, even though Angela Hill has that grappling against the fence style,
yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be that type. I think Gomes is going to strike with her. And it's
Gomes has improved her speed. She's using her speed more. She's now waiting to time her opponent instead of just trading blow for blow like she did 3 fights ago in her last 2 fights. She has 2 KOs and her last KO 20 seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the reason the KOs are happening is because she's learned to punch on the run.
Yes.
Which is a rare thing in women's MMA. You don't see like power strikers who are punching on the run as much.
Yes.
They usually are trading and things like that.
Through.
Yeah. This girl has literally, you got to check her out in her last fight versus Yasmin Jaragul. Sorry if I butchered that name, but it was unbelievable. One of the KOs probably of the year in the women's division, in the women's women's UFC. And that's the thing is that she's improved to now punch on the run, combinations on the run, and they're hitting with so much power and speed.
It's so much snap on her punches. It's just fun to watch.
So that's why she's the favorite versus Angela Hill. And Angela Hill has been here in the UFC for like 10 years, probably 7 years. Too. Yeah, and Angela Hill, the problem with her is that she is slowing down as she get older. She can take punishment, but she is slowing down. Gomes is much faster, I would say, now, because Gomes is really learning to use that speed. The punches go to Gomes, leg kicks as well. The defense, the elusiveness, the speed goes to Gomes as well. Even though Gomes did trade about 3 fights ago, Angela Hill is kind of trading in the pocket, I would say, a little bit more, throwing overhands that are blindly throwing overhands, whereas Gomes is more calculated. Gomes looks like the more experienced fighter, compared to Angela Hill in her last fight, lost to Mackenzie Dern.
Angela Hill, for her credit, has fought the who's who.
She's fought the who's who, yeah.
And she has experience, so I might think about doing like a double. I still think Gomes is going to win, but I might do like a double chance, like a Gomes by KO or decision.
Right.
Because Angela Hill knows what she's doing in there.
Yeah.
As far as like defense. So Yeah, the double chance is looking better and better for me.
Yeah, just the problem with Angela Hill is she doesn't have any like notable win. I mean, she does have a notable win over Lupe Godinez, but Godinez is a grappler. So in that situation,
wrestler,
it's wrestler. Obviously, Angela Hill's got some grappling against the fence, can make it a greasy fight. Emily Ducote, who's just not on the level, is her last 2 fights ago win, and then she lost to Mackenzie Dern. Other than that, she's like what 2-4 in her last 6.
She's not being taken out though.
It's gonna be hard to take her out because she goes to decision a lot. When she loses, she's only been stopped once, I think. But by Randa Marcos, and that was like 5 years ago. That was so long ago, and they fought on the Ultimate Fighter. They knew each other. So, but Gomes, I mean, theoretically, Gomes is punching on the run now. She's dangerous. She's gotten 2 KOs in a row, and faster. Angela Hill's 38 years old, so she is slowing down in her older age, I would say, and Gomes is on the rise at the age of 23. But Angela Hill doesn't have enough of an arsenal other than the fence holding. She can fence hold Gomes because she has the experience. That's the only thing I see that she can possibly do to Gomes. But ultimately, Gomes,
her that way?
Yeah, but ultimately Gomes can run circles around her at this point. Like Gomes has really learned to time the punches on the run, and that's super important in this fight because Angela Hill ultimately is just throwing some wild overhands, and Gomes can time her, throw combinations. The leg kicks, she's going to beat Angela Hill in the leg kick battle. It's just too many ways for Gomes to win and use that speed advantage. So ultimately, pick is Denise Gomes. Thank you so much for listening, and please
like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks, everybody. This is We've Been Drinking MMA podcast. I'm talking about the Vitor Petrino versus Modestas Bukauskas. Modestas. I'm just going to stay there. In the Almeida versus Lewis fight, or card. And I'm going Vitor Petrino.
Yep, that's Lousy's pick. This is backhand. My pick is also Vitor Petrino. And I got to say, this is my favorite mismatch of the event. I think Vitor Petrino has it all over Modestas Bukauskas. Not only is Vitor Petrino undefeated, but he's 9-0 and he's got 7 finishes. But guess what? He just finished his last fight too, which is his second fight in the UFC by submission against Marcin Prachnio.
And Prachnio's no joke.
Because Prachnio is a 50-50 fighter in the UFC, but he has fought good fighters, and he even has a win over Khalil Roundtree, who a lot of people think is definitely top 7 as far as striking in the light heavyweight division, no doubt. Like what he did to Chris Daukaus, amazing. Oh my God. So knocked him out in the first round, I think it was. Might have been the second round, but it was unbelievable performance. And you just see him leveling up. And that was just 2 years ago. Prachnio had a win, unanimous decision win over Khalil Roundtree, and Petrino submitted and roughed up on the feet Prachnio. So, and then you look at Modestas Bukauskas, and we got to say Petrino is minus 260 here, $260 to profit 100, but it's every bit. It makes sense because again, he's undefeated and he's fighting Modestas Bukauskas in this fight. Bukauskas is 2-0 as well. They both are 2-0 in the UFC. However, Bukauskas actually fought in the UFC prior, about 3 years ago, and he went actually 1-3 and then got released. After his last loss, he went on a 3-fight losing skid, and his last loss was against Khalil Roundtree, who we just talked about. And then he came back after a couple years, and now he's 2-0 in the UFC. But the thing is with Modestas Bukauskas is the power just isn't there. Proof is that in the UFC, he only has 1 KO, and that was his first fight 3 years ago. And again, we said that he went 0-3 in his after that, and then got KO'd twice in that 3-fight losing skid. Now he's back, 2 decision wins. And he's a decision fighter, honestly, is what he actually is, as far as like fighting high-level fighters or good fighters.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, bud.
He has quick counters. That's the only thing I could see with him against Petrino. Because he doesn't take people down. Like in the last 3 fights, he hasn't taken anybody down. Like not even an attempt. Not even one attempt. So if you're gonna try to stand and throw with this guy, this guy's dangerous. The only way is if you catch him on a counter. And he has quick counters.
But he doesn't have the power.
But he doesn't have the power to get him out of there.
Right.
Because Petrino's a big guy for a 205. He looks bigger than actually. He looks bigger than Modestas.
Yeah, so...
And the Modestas is taller.
Yeah, I mean...
He just looks bigger.
It's Modestas has like a Bukauskas has a 1-inch reach advantage, so it's negligible. Vitor Petrino is on the rise. He's 26 years old. Bukauskas, like we said, is his second run in the UFC. He is 2-0 in his last run in the UFC, but overall he is 3-3. And Petrino is just on the rise. So listen, Modestas Bukauskas, problem with him in this fight is that he does like to keep a decent distance and then kind of punch long range, longer punches. But when he's backing up, he is slow. And his head is there to be hit. His defense is not
straight back. Yeah,
straight back with just one arm up, and it's like kind of like loose. It's not very tight. His chin is not tucked. It's up in the air, and he is slow moving backwards against a guy like Vitor Petrino. Vitor Petrino in this fight, Vitor Petrino has a big advantage because he's faster than Bukauskas. He's got more power than Bukauskas. He's got the combinations. His leg kick is unbelievable. His counter punches, even if he glances you, he could probably knock people down. Yeah. People like Petrino are going to get knocked down by just glancing blows.
Even if you block it, you still might get knocked out,
Petrino is I would say the Terminator is a phenomenal nickname for him.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He is super dangerous. Like he said, you can clip Bukauskas with anything. Leg kicks are faster. Combinations are faster. Counters are faster. Faster fighter in general. Bukauskas is slow at backing up. It spells doom for Modestas Bukauskas. This is, for me, my most confident pick of the night, and I'm just super happy to see Vitor Petrino fight again because I'm a huge fan of just his work in there and how he's improving and how dangerous he is, and continuously, like, he's actually upping the level of danger every fight as far as his skills, his power, his speed, how he's opportunistic. It's amazing. How calm he is. Yeah. Like exactly. It's like, again, a guy who can punch you from anywhere type guy, and he's at light heavyweight, 205 pounds. So it's super exciting to see a guy as dynamic as this at a high heavyweight class like this. So thank you so much for this listening to this breakdown. Hope you enjoyed it.
Like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks, everybody.
This is We've Been Drinking MMA, and we are here breaking down and predicting the UFC Fight Night Luis Almeida card. This fight is between Victor Hugo versus Daniel Marcos. This is backhand, and my pick is Daniel Marcos.
My pick is Daniel Marcos as well.
I have to say, he's my tentative pick. You know why? He's undefeated. He is minus 250 in this fight, $250 to profit 100. Daniel Marcos is. However, he's 2-0 in the UFC. He had a TKO win 2 fights ago, but his last fight against Davey Grant, it was a split decision win. I thought that he lost. I thought it was close, but I just didn't like the way he performed. It felt like he's going through an injury, but he was very tentative, and his punches, he really, really wasn't throwing with much power at all, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And to me, he's going up against Victor Hugo in this current fight, and Victor Hugo is coming off a 3 or 4 fight finish streak. Yeah. Two KOs. One of them was an injury against his opponent, and then 2 submissions. And his last fight was a contender series of the minor leagues of UFC. But still, I mean, the guy is definitely got good, strong leg kicks. I think Daniel Marcos, 2 fights ago against Salmon Oliveira.
I see a lot of, especially when they're striking,
mm-hmm.
I see a lot of Oliveira, like the guy you were just talking about, and Hugo when they're striking.
Right.
So I don't see any difference in this fight if they're going to strike the same way. So I don't see any other outcome besides Marcos winning.
No, for me, I want to wait and see. I want to live bet this one for me because in Daniel Marcos, yes, he did fight a dangerous fighter, Davey Grant, who is just good at going forward, going backward, throwing these dangerous hooks. However, Marcos just, in my opinion, just wasn't throwing with any heat. And normally his body kicks 2 fights ago against Oliveira was amazing. Their body kicks were
with intention.
Flash. It was like an instant. Just kicking with nice pop.
2 way different fighters though.
Yeah, and so against Davey Grant, I can see why, sometimes you go up against a monster like Davey Grant. Davey Grant's not a monster, but he is kind of a monster. Like, he's definitely dangerous. And when you go up against a dangerous power puncher or like a wrestler, grappler, sometimes you don't look as good, and I can understand that. However, I don't know what's going on in his head. What if he was injured in his last fight? That was in July, late July. What if he's still going through some problems and his and he might have a poor showing again? I don't want to bet money on him until I see him, and I want to see him throw with some real pop. When I see that, I am definitely going to throw some money on Daniel Marcos because he's the better fighter, better kicker, better combinations, pressure fighter, doesn't he? He goes forward.
Yes.
And he puts a lot of pressure when he is looking good 2 fights ago. But against Davy Grant, he couldn't really lead the dance too much there. So he was more countering and things like that and being more hesitant. And so, yeah, I just want to see him, look like he is not injured or like he's fresh. I want to see him fresh.
Like he's ready to go.
I want to see him ready to go, throwing those body kicks, throwing with some pop, making some good connections. I'm going to have my volume way up on the TV, and I want to make sure that he's connecting good and he wants to throw with intention and throw with power, which is why he's undefeated. Is when he does that, he wins.
Not tentative, ready to go.
Exactly. And Victor Hugo, like we said, he's a good fighter, but he's only had this is his first fight in the UFC. He's got 4 losses on his record, and we'll see how he performs. He's got a 2.5-inch reach advantage, but I'm just thinking that ultimately he's got 2 takedowns a fight, so we can maybe take it to the ground. But then,
when his fight, when it is on the ground, his fight IQ is not the smartest when he's trying for submission. So if that happens, Marcos is going to capitalize on it.
Marcos, you could tell Marcos is just the more polished fighter, and Victor Hugo is kind of just like taking what he can get. But Daniel Marcos setting up nice body kicks, like we said, and throwing good combinations and going forward and putting the pressure and setting up
on his leg kicks that Oliveira fight was really nice.
Yeah,
so,
he can throw with some heat.
Marcos.
I just want to see him throw with the heat. You know what I mean? So I look forward to seeing Daniel Marcos perform, and if he's performing well, and he wants to throw with intention, I'll throw a bet on him.
For sure.
Yeah.
I like it.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Like, subscribe, comment. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, this is We've Been Drinking MMA. We are breaking down this Luis Almeida UFC Fight Night card, and this fight is between Rinat Fakhretdinov, and please... sorry if I get this name wrong. He's fighting Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos from Brazil. Good. Yeah, not bad. And Rinat is minus 350. Rinat Fakhretdinov is minus 350, $350 to profit 100. And this is backhand, and that is my pick, Rinat Fakhretdinov.
Rinat is my pick as well, but if he didn't strike as like he does, I would be picking Dos Santos.
Hey, Dos Santos, listen, we got to talk about Dos Santos. Even though we're picking Fakhretdinov really quickly is only has 1 loss, and that was his second fight in his career, and he's 21-1 overall. He is 3-0 in the UFC. Out of his 21 wins, 17 of them are finishes, 10 KOs, and 7 subs. And in his last fight, he subbed Kevin Lee in the first round in 55 seconds. So that's why we're high on him from his record like that. He also had a win over Brian Battle where he had 2 judges gave him 30-25, meaning he had 2 10-8 rounds.
It's incredible.
Against Brian Battle, who literally is a guy who's really good. So a guy who won the Ultimate Fighter, a guy who won his last fight, and convincingly.
And he's been looking good too.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
For a guy that we think has actually been looking good and to dominate like that, that tells you something.
Yep. So, but we got to talk about Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos, the opponent, who is the underdog, because man, he's 3-2 in his last 5. But before the 3-2 record in his last 5, he went 7-0 in the UFC.
Yeah,
with a KO win over Sean Strickland. Of course, it was at welterweight when Sean was at welterweight, and Sean was very much drained, and now Sean is the champion at 185, the weight class above.
It's pretty cool to look at.
But it's a good record. But the thing is, the problem with the record is now, that was then, and this is now. Yeah. And now he's 3-2 in his last 5, including 5 fights ago. He got KO'd by Li Jingliang, and that was in 2019. But ultimately, he's just a savvy veteran, isn't he? He can fight everywhere.
Yes.
Punches from awkward angles, but smart angles, and he's got great takedown defense.
Oh my God. The numbers on
really
his takedown defenses are incredible.
The only problem with him is his record, is that he's 3-2 and he's going against a guy when he's not at his absolute best. He does have a win though 2 fights ago against Benoit Saint Denis, who Benoit Saint Denis we got a lot of respect for. He's starting to really pile up the TKOs and submissions in the UFC, and he's looking like a killer.
That fight was amazing, man.
And he beat Benoit Saint Denis 2 fights ago, and then his last fight, he beat Abubakar Nurmagomedov by a split decision. So he's in a lot of these fights that he wins. At least 3, his last 3 wins are by decision. Yeah. So the problem is when you're going against a guy like Rinat Fakhretdinov. Fakhretdinov is one of the guys, like we said, against Brian Battle, 30-25s. These are scorecards you don't see every you see that like once a year. You know what I mean?
His pressure and his wrestling are incredible.
That's what it is, man. His pressure, he pressures anything he throws, even if it's a punch or a kick that is just unassuming, just kind of throwing it like a test kick, it lands and it's got pop.
Yeah.
So even when he's not trying, you hear it. And the thing is that his striking,
with purpose.
Yeah, man, he did a 1-2 versus Kevin Lee, and that right punch landed right on the button, dropped Kevin Lee in his last fight, and Kevin Lee got submitted in 55 seconds.
Yeah.
Just choked him out after that. So Fakhretdinov is peaking. Fakhretdinov and Dos Santos are both, none of them are really too fast, but the problem is Fakhretdinov likes to pressure and go forward. And Dos Santos, even though he does like to counter, like Fakhretdinov it's going to be hard because Fakhretdinov, like, what's he going to go for? Is he going to go for the takedown? Is he going to go for a punch? Is he going to go for a leg kick? What's he doing? You know, it's going to be really tough to figure out what Fakhretdinov is going to do. Yes, Dos Santos does have solid takedown defense, but the thing is Fakhretdinov is wrestling. The double legs, it's like you said, it was, I remember we talked about this. He's like Matt Hughes, who's a 170-pound legend at this same weight class. The way he's picking up the legs and scooping you against the fence, like boom,
brings you closer, boom,
quick, like just scoops you. What are you gonna do about it? Eventually, Fakhretdinov is gonna get the takedowns, and eventually Fakhretdinov is gonna be able to dominate on top.
There's nothing. Even the best takedown defenders are gonna get taken down, like with these type of wrestlers.
We're talking about Brian Battle, who can get up off the ground really well, I would say. And Fakhretdinov is able to control him for 2 rounds straight, knock Brian Battle down in the 3rd round, and then control him more on the ground. It's like, let's go. I mean, this is the type of guy who's a nightmare matchup for anyone who is, or for anyone. You know what I mean? Because like Fakhretdinov is kind of like Khabib pressure, but then he has scoops you with the takedowns, and then he can also like knock you down. Right, so it's super dangerous. It's gonna be a hell of a fight though, because Dos Santos, like we said, did go 7-0 at one point in his career, but it's just lately he's 3-2, and he's got wins over some pretty notable fighters like Benoit Saint Denis 2 fights ago. But the animal nature of Fakhretdinov to just come forward, pressure, and just hit you with anything and hurt you and take you down easily and submit you and really ground and pound and do all that thing and really control you. We haven't seen something like this at welterweight since a guy like Matt Hughes, who's a legend at this weight class, definitely. So ultimately, the pick is Rinat Fakhretdinov, -350, 350 to profit 100. That's what we're going with.
Rinat for the win. Like, subscribe, comment. Thanks, everybody.
So we've been drinking MMA. We are breaking down and predicting UFC Fight Night Luis Almeida. This fight is between Ismael Bonfim versus Vinc Pichel. And this is backhand. My pick is going to be Ismael Bonfim.
This is lousy. I am also picking Bonfim by manslaughter.
Bonfim is -450, $450 to profit 100. So he's a massive favorite for a good reason. Ultimately, he's done really good in the as far as the UFC. It's 1-1. But his last loss is against a killer, Benoit Saint Denis, and Benoit Saint Denis is on a tear, KOing everybody and submitting everybody, and just going forward with big body kicks. Fighter. Yeah, very, very good fighter. Dare we say great. And so he did get submitted in the first round there, but he had a KO win in his first actual fight in the UFC versus Terrence McKinney. And Terrence McKinney is one of those fighters. He's been in the UFC for a long time. He's got a record where it's a kill or be killed for him situation, and he just got killed by Ismael Bonfim. Actually, he's been around for 2 years, but he's 5-3.
He's very rememberable.
5-3, but he either loses or wins by KO or submission. He never goes to decision. And so he's got some he's got a KO win over Breeden, submission over Eric Gonzalez. He's definitely got a KO win over Matt Frevola. Frevola's got a KO win over
7-second
Drew Dober. So, Matt Frevola is no joke, and he KO'd him in his first fight. So what we're saying is Terrence McKinney is dangerous, a dangerous fighter, and Bonfim, flying double-kneed him.
Double-kneed him. It was crazy.
It was amazing. And so ultimately...
sack of potatoes, he fell down.
Ultimately, Bonfim, even though he's 1-1, the win against Terrence McKinney is special. And one loss can be explained because Benoit Saint Denis was on a ridiculous tear in the UFC as well. And Denis is just one of those guys who is on like a 4-fight win streak and just KOs and subs everybody. So, including Thiago Moises, who's top 12 in the weight class. So, and that just happened one fight after the Bonfim fight. So that's why Bonfim, you can explain that loss away. Now, you talk about Vinc Pichel, who is Vinc Pichel. I'm sorry if I said the first name wrong, but he's the underdog in this fight, massive underdog. And even though he is 3-1 in his last 4, he did have a win over Jim Miller, but honestly, Jim Miller and him were kind of two slow guys in there, and
like
Pichel
tentative, like what am I gonna do next?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, and Pichel is more of a grappler, and so Jim Miller was kind of afraid of the grappling, but Jim Miller doesn't have the speed to really move around to really get away from Pichel, and Pichel was able to kind of fence grab him and then just kind of, take him down slowly. Yeah. But Pichel is 40 years old, man, and that means
40.
something. He's 40, man. And that Miller fight was 3 fights ago, and he was looking slow then, and it's been
different directories
3
with
fights.
these fighters.
He's been looking slow, man.
He's going up. Bonfim's going up, and Pinchel's on the twilight.
Yeah, that's right. And he just lost in his last fight against definitely a good opponent. But ultimately, the problem is the style matchup is that Ismael Bonfim can stuff takedowns.
Yes.
And he's good at it. He doesn't get controlled on the ground. So what happens when you don't get controlled on the ground and you're faster than your opponent who's a grappler, and you can flying knee him and do whatever you want. His punches are crisp.
Pretty much take this wherever you want this to go.
Dude, he's a fast power striker who can stuff takedowns. That's the exact fighter that Pichel does not want to face and really doesn't want to face him at this age. It's just a dangerous matchup for Pichel, and
Pichel could catch him because it's the UFC, but I just don't see it happening. I think Bonfim just controls us wherever it wants to go, and I think Bonfim for first round.
Yeah, no, I mean if you look at Pichel's just record in the UFC as far as his wins, he's got 1 KO out of what is it, like 4, 5, 6 wins? 6 wins, 5 of them were decisions, and the KO came 7 years. 7 years ago. So obviously 7 years ago, he was 33 years old. Now he's 40. The punch power is not there. Again, 6 out of the 7 fights are decisions of his wins. He just doesn't have the punching power to hurt Bonfim. And if you can't hurt Bonfim and you can't take him down, it's just not good for you. So even though it's minus 450, I think is for Ismael Bonfim, it's for the parlay. It could be good.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm gonna do for him because
high confidence.
Yeah, definitely. So appreciate y'all listening, and thank you so much.
Subscribe and comment. Thanks everybody. This is We've Been Drinking MMA, and we are on the Vieira versus Armen Petrosyan in the Almeida Lewis fight card.
Yep.
I am going Vieira.
Yep, that's Lousy's pick, and this is backhand. My pick tentatively on this one because I really want to live bet it, but my pick is Armen Petrosyan. It's a pick 'em, minus 110 for both fighters, 110 to profit 100.
Yeah, you could go either way and have good arguments for either one.
Whatever you do, the house wins.
Yeah.
So ultimately, for me, I want to live bet Armen Petrosyan because it's simple. Petrosyan has the better kickboxing, and
Muay Thai style.
However, Vieira's got the grappling, and Vieira can take Petrosyan down, and Petrosyan does get taken down sometimes, and he can get back up, but it could be...
takedown defense is not the best.
It's not the best, and it's been improving, but I want to see it before I bet him, you know what I mean? Yeah. And for you, Lousy, you're going with Vieira.
Yeah, because of his takedowns, and
Yeah. Relentless.
I really like his control time and what he does to try to go for the submissions. And you could just go by off his past.
Dude, he's literally like an Abu Dhabi, which means no gi, no uniform. So bare chest where it's slick and greasy. He's like Abu Dhabi world champion, like in jiu-jitsu. Like he's like the top of the heap type guy. And literally every single one of his wins in the UFC, 4 wins, all submissions. And so he's going to submit you, or he lost to Chris Curtis by decision 2 fights ago. But Chris Curtis is top 10 in the UFC. And then Anthony Hernandez was another grappler, and obviously Petrosyan's not a grappler.
Pressure.
Ultimately, Vieira's dangerous because every single one of his wins, he's 9-2. All 9 wins are by finish. 8 submissions and 1 TKO.
It's amazing.
The guy's dangerous, and that's why it's kind of one of those dangerous things where if you want to bet, okay, what if he just repeatedly takedowns Petrosyan? It's like you could maybe bet it going over 2 rounds or going the distance. No, you might not, because what if he submits Petrosyan? And then problem is Vieira also got knocked down in his last fight versus Cody Brundage in the I think it was the 2nd round. But then Cody Brundage didn't really do anything on the ground with the finishing, hammer fists, and didn't create space to really punch him hard. So then he got on top of Vieira a little bit. Then Vieira reversed it and then choked him.
Yep.
So I'm saying you
gotta know what you're doing.
Vieira's never out. Vieira's smart, and he's never out of a fight. So ultimately, the reason I don't like even going the distance in this fight is because, going all three is because he did get dropped by Brundage, and Petrosyan throws with heat and throws with combinations. He's a really good kickboxer, and Petrosyan's fast. That's the reason I'm picking Petrosyan. Is
the Muay Thai style.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, both these guys have good UFC records. 3-1 record for Armen Petrosyan in the UFC. And what did we say? We said he was 4-2 for the UFC for Vieira, but again, his 2 fights ago loss was against a top 10 fighter, Chris Curtis. You can explain that away, and then they're both 4-1 and 3-1. So in reality, this is a damn close fight, which is on the odds why it's a coin flip. But
it's gonna be a fun fight. Just circle and enjoy it.
It's gonna be interesting.
If you don't want to bet it, so we're
For
not
sure.
financial advisors at all. But,
No.
but we just like
Especially
UFC.
on this fight.
Yeah, not in this particular fight. Just enjoy it if you don't want to bet it.
This is
But
backhand.
I'm going Vieira.
Yeah, and for me, there's a backhand. If Petrosyan can stuff some takedowns, I feel like he can win this fight. If he can't stuff the takedown, simple, he loses. So that's what I'm waiting for in the first round, to see if Petrosyan has improved that takedown defense and can get up if he does get taken down.
That's
We'll
the
see what
only way
happens.
Vieira wins is by takedown. So
For sure.
If Armand starts to stuff it, it's over.
Yeah. And remember, Vieira is dangerous. He's won every fight by finish. So if you are betting Petrosyan, be very careful there. So anyways, words of caution. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey, this is We've Been Drinking MMA. We are breaking down and predicting UFC Fight Night Lewis versus Almeida, and this fight is between Chao Barallo versus Abus Magomedov. This is backhand. My pick is Chao Barallo.
My name is Chao Barallo as well.
He's minus 270, $270 to profit 100, so he's
a massive favorite.
Pretty massive.
Abus is actually a really good striker.
Abus pretty dangerous, isn't he?
As far as Magomedov, he's very tall and lanky. His last fight, he got KO'd in the second round versus the champ, Sean Strickland.
Abus, Magomedov got KO'd because he gassed.
Yeah,
first round he won.
That's the only reason why he lost.
That is, I mean, like, he was leg kicking Sean. He was
sniper aggressive with those kicks.
The punches, like,
pow, pow,
and Sean
pow.
sometimes used to have a habit a little bit more of kind of walking into some punches, and Abus hit him with some good punches.
Yeah,
man.
very, very.
It was shaky in the first round.
You could tell, like, you could hear it, like.
Yeah.
When you hear a good punch or a good kick, you hear like how good it is. Like,
listen, Abus Magomedov has power in all of his punches and kicks, but his kicks, I would say his kicks are pretty deadly. Like the leg kicks, he really like throws with a lot of power.
Yeah,
and he's a big guy, for 185 pounds,
tall, lanky.
Ultimately, in this fight, he even has a 3-inch reach advantage against Chao Barallo and a 4-inch height advantage against Chao Barallo. But again, like we said, the problem with Abus Magomedov is he's a one-round guy. In his last, let's say, four wins. Let's say out of his last 3 wins, 2 of them are in the first round. So he's really good in the first round, and then the other fight was in the second round. He submitted Cesare Sesic. But so look, I mean, he's 3-1 in his last 4. Obviously, he lost to the champion, and it was a short notice fight. Obviously, the gas tank is not going to be there. But the problem is that it's how he lost. In the first round, he did good with the leg kicks. He went forward, but ultimately, when he got pressured by Sean Strickland in the second round, that was a problem because Abus Magomedov is just slower. He's pretty slow at backing up. And so he's good
straight back.
Going forward, he's pretty fast, but going backward, man, he is exposed, man. He's slow. He loads up on his counterpunches, which is not what you want to do against a guy who's fast like Chao Barallo in this matchup.
Yes.
It's all bad. He also didn't have much of a chin. He got hit like a few times by Sean clean, and all of a sudden, Abus was like in danger, like major danger, and Sean Strickland didn't even do that much damage, to be honest. And I'm not even talking trash. Listen, Sean Strickland literally even said, it wasn't me, Abus Magomedov quit in there. And Sean wasn't talking trash. Sean was just telling the truth that, listen, don't credit me the victory. Abus didn't have the chin, and he just kind of quit with the gas tank. He didn't want to fight, and that's why Sean won. So ultimately, that's the point, is that Chao Barallo is faster than Abus Magomedov.
Yeah.
He's on a 12 or 13 fight win streak with a 4-fight win streak in the UFC.
And even though Abus kicks are really aggressive and have power.
Power.
Chow's kicks have intention as well.
They got power too, but he's just maybe a little bit less power, than Abus Magomedov, but he's got a better arsenal. He's got better, faster movement. He's more elusive when he's moving around. He's got great. He reminds me of Leona Machida when he dances around, and it's like hard to hit him, and then all of a sudden he like leaps in with. He's a southpaw, and he likes to like leap in with like a a right hand, like a right hook, step in right hook, and he lands with that. He's got really good leg kicks. He can take you down.
He has those wild knees.
Yeah, man. He's got good combinations. He finished his last opponent, Michael Oleksijak, with submission in the second round. For he was on a 3-fight win streak in the UFC. He had 3 wins in a row, and they were all unanimous decisions. And people were saying, I think people were thinking, he was not a finisher. And all of a sudden, he finishes Michael Oleksijak in his last fight, and he goes up to the camera and he's like, put some respect on my name. I finish people, few choice curse words.
Not those exact words, but you can fill in the blank where it needs to be.
Yep. And listen, Chao Barallo is a guy who he can throw combinations, but he's really elusive with his movement. Hard to hit, hard to find, fast movement, and he can time you with a punch. He leaps in with a straight punch. You just don't really see the punches coming, so he can really hurt you when you don't see it coming. Dangerous in that way. And on top of that, he is good going forwards and backwards, which is super important in this fight. You need to be good at countering and going forward and throwing combinations and leg kicks and body
having
kicks.
Angles when you're going backwards too.
Yeah, so ultimately, he can take you down and change up the whole fight and just take you down to the ground very quickly.
He can change the game.
He can change the game with that. So ultimately, Barallo's a guy who's always moving, whereas Abus is not moving as fast and as much.
Yeah, Barallo's pace is really impressive.
Abus is more loading up the punches, and Chao is looking to move around and time you. And that's a beautiful thing to see play out. So that's basically it. Abus doesn't have that much of a chin. His gas tank is suspect. Barallo's faster. Barallo's more experienced. Barallo's on a 13-fight win streak. He can fight going forwards and backwards. He can put people away. He can take you down, strike with you, time you, kick you, whatever he wants to do.
This first round in this fight is going to be amazing.
Yeah, first round is going to be super fun.
Yeah.
Get the popcorn, right?
Get the popcorn.
And I do also want to say that Chao Barallo's defense is underrated. He gets up that hand tight on his when against punchers, and he knows how to block at the perfect time. He is actually really good at defense, and that's why he's on a 12-fight win streak, not just his offense. I just wanted to say that. Not just his speed and offense, but his defense is better than Abus Magomedov. Handily. So I think it's going to be a great fight, but ultimately Chao Barallo gets the win. I think minus 270.
I'm picking Barallo as well. So.
I'm switching my pick, Abus Magomedov. I'm switching it. No, I'm switching it. No, I'm messing around. No, I'm going with too late. No, we're going with Barallo here. Appreciate you listening, and please like, subscribe, and comment.
Thanks, everybody.
YouTube algo. Hey, this is We've Been Drinking MMA. Appreciate you joining us. We're breaking down UFC Fight Night Lewis Almeida, and this is the fight between Rodrigo Nascimento versus Don'Tale Mayes heavyweights. This is backhand. My pick, very tentatively on this one, is Don'Tale Mayes.
I'm picking Rodrigo Nascimento.
He's the favorite.
Yes, he is a better wrestler in my opinion.
100%. He's got wrestling. Don'Tale really doesn't have wrestling. Yeah, he's a striker.
Don'Tale's Don'Tale.
Don'Tale's a striker.
He's like a bouncer.
Yeah.
Esque like striking.
Yeah, you just don't want to get close. He clips you with anything, and he can hurt you.
Yeah. He's a little tentative in the pocket, but when he hits you, you feel it. So
yes, you do.
But Nascimento sets a good pace. He can wrestle you. He has takedown defense, even though in this fight, I don't think he's gonna need takedown defense.
No, yeah.
But
he's got a good, full, complete arsenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can fight on the ground, fight against the fence, fight in the open space. He's good everywhere on the ground, like we said. Rodrigo Nascimento is minus 180, $180 to profit 100. For me, this is backhand. He's 4-1 in the UFC. I'm sorry, he's 4-1. Yeah, in the UFC, and his only loss was 4 fights ago against Chris Daukaus. He got KO'd early.
3 years ago.
3 years ago, a long time ago. But the funny thing about these two that we have to say is Don'Tale Mayes is got 3 wins and 3 losses in the UFC. However, the funny thing is that one of his losses from 3 years ago was Rodrigo Nascimento. This is a rematch.
They're bringing it back.
Running it back. The crazy thing is that Dontel Mays is 3-3 and Rodrigo Nascimento is 4-1. So it makes sense. Nascimento is the favorite. He deserves to be. He's the better all-around fighter. He can fight everywhere. Dontel Mays is a striker.
By the way, was that his first fight in the UFC?
Dontel Mays, that was actually his second fight. His first fight, Rodrigo, that was, yes, it was his first fight.
Yeah.
So he submitted Dontel Mays in his first fight, and Dontel Mays had lost to Cyril Gane by submission. Cyril Gane is the interim champion of UFC a year ago or so.
One of the best heavyweights.
Yeah, and then the second fight, he got subbed by Rodrigo Nascimento, and that was easy. That was unfortunate. I just think he didn't have any ground game. And he didn't even have a fence game. So what happened was he didn't even understand how to get an underhook against the fence.
He didn't know what under.
So he didn't know an under. I don't think he knew.
Transitions.
Yeah. So what happened was that Nascimento just got him against the fence. Dontel Mays didn't even go for the underhook to get that inner arm so that he can then move Nascimento. So he kept his arm on the outside and just kept doing like these little punches like that weren't doing any damage. Nascimento's like, all right. And then he had the underhooks, the inside game, and Nascimento just took down Dontel Mays and subbed him in like 3 seconds.
Yes.
Like after he took him down. It was so quick. A couple ground and pound punches and then subbed him with a choke. It was so quick.
No problems.
So ultimately, I think the reason why it's not like minus 500 for Nascimento is that we know that Dontel Mays now has improved the fence game where he now knows how to get underhooks. Now, does that mean he's going to win this fight? I don't know, because guess what? 2 fights ago, he lost to Augusto Sakai, and Augusto Sakai really got him.
Nothing to scoff at, by the way.
No. Augusto Sakai is a top 10 fighter, and his only losses were to the top 5, top 7 fighters. And Augusto Sakai just ran through Mays because he just basically was faster than Mays, faster than Nascimento even. And he, just leg kicked Mays, hurt Mays with leg kicks to Mays' legs, and then he just went for actually, Mays shot for a takedown once against Sakai. That's when the striker's in trouble. His legs are hurting when he's going for takedowns against the wrestler. And then Sakai just decided to just get him against the fence, and he kneed him in the head, and Mays couldn't do nothing about it because Mays is not great against the fence. Like we said, he got taken down by Nascimento against the fence. Ultimately, that's why this is back in again. My pick is Dontel Mays, but very tentative because I don't want to bet this going into the fight. I want to try and live bet this because I want to see if Dontel Mays has improved the fence game. Has he improved his ground game? Can he get up off the ground? These are all question marks. Can he not get taken down so easily off the fence? And for Nascimento, in my opinion, in his last fight, he did win a split decision with Ilir Latifi, but he's looking a little bit more hesitant than he used to. He used to be more aggressive. Now he still pressures going forward, so Dontel Mays is going to be the one backing up. But I feel like Nascimento is a little bit more hesitant than he used to be. He used to throw more punches. And but he still has that all-around game where he can take you down, do whatever he wants, and with the pressure that he puts. And Dontel Mays, in my opinion, has at least learned the underhooks against the fence. But also Dontel Mays, he used to kind of just like Lousy said, he was kind of like in and out. And if someone would throw a punch, he would maybe throw a counter and then just move back. Now he will throw a crisp counter and not just kind of throw something lackadaisically and then just run back. He is there, and if you throw something kind of lackadaisical at him, he'll make you pay. And it could be a short punch, and he will hurt you. With a short punch. It's
heavyweight, so it's going to be with intention.
He can rock you with a short punch on just a quick counter that you don't. Yeah. It looks like a weak punch, and it just boom.
It hits. Like a check jab hard. Or something.
Exactly.
But all of a sudden, you're dazed.
The other thing I like about Dontel Mays in the matchup is that Dontel Mays has gotten better at backing up and countering and really trapping. That's what he did with Andrei Arlovski in his last fight, where he KO'd Andrei Arlovski, who's the former UFC champion and all this stuff. And Mays showed that he literally was like, putting his head a little bit, moving it around a little bit slowly, and then boom, Arlovski went for the punch, and Dontel Mays slipped and went for a huge overhand and knocked down Arlovski, and then that was it. A few hammer punches, it was over. Hammer fist, it was over.
Looks like he's in slow motion.
Who?
Mays.
Yeah.
The way he's like, it looks like
he's trapping.
He's trapping.
I think he's trapping now. More.
But like,
yeah,
it looks like he's like in underwater or slow motion.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden you have that overhand right in your face.
So that's what I like about Dontel. He's a little bit now. In the beginning, I think Nascimento used to be faster than Mays. Now Mays has, I think, improved the speed. So Mays is a little bit faster than Nascimento. However, Nascimento puts the pressure. Nascimento can go for the takedowns, like we said. So that's what I'm waiting for. Is can Mays stop the takedown, and really is he competent enough on the fence to at least not get taken down so easily and choked out? Because ultimately this is a rematch, and he did get subbed in the second round very easily. And that's what I'm waiting for. Lousy, you're going with Nascimento.
I'm going Nascimento.
Better all around game. But again, you're not super confident in just betting it. You're thinking about live betting too, right?
Yes. as far as confidence level, I don't really have a good feeling for to put out actual money on until the second round.
You kind of want to? Are you kind of waiting for the same thing with like takedowns for Nascimento if Mays hasn't improved that?
Or if Mays is the countering like he's been usually doing.
He's just on fire, basically, right?
If this goes to the second round, I think Nascimento has a very, very reasonable chance to go 30-27, especially if he wins that first round.
Got you. So, yeah, those are our thoughts on the fight. This is one of those fights, again, I'm live betting. Lousy's going for thinking maybe a live bet as well. It's kind of one of those fights where we just want to kind of watch, see that first round. Mays is super dangerous. Nascimento can really be dangerous with the ground game. We just want to see, wait and see. So thank you so much for listening.
Like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks, everybody. This is We've Been Drinking MMA. We are talking about the Nicholas Dalby versus Gabriel Bonfim in the Almeida Lewis fight card. And I'm going Gabriel Bonfim by submission in first round.
Boom. This is back end. I'm going with Gabriel Bonfim. He's minus 550, 550 to profit 100. I also think he gets it done with I think it's probably going to be guillotine. That guillotine is unbelievable.
Under the armpit. Head's underneath the armpit, and he's getting choked out, huh?
This is crazy because I do have to talk about this. Like, Gabriel Bonfim is undefeated 15-0. And all 15 wins have come by finish.
Inside the distance.
12 submissions and 3 TKOs.
That's brilliant. What a fighter.
100% finish rate, 15-0.
Do you think Dalby's going to change that?
The finish rate. Does he have
a chance to change that?
Man.
And how would he change it, like, in general?
All right,
I don't think he can.
We do have to talk about Dalby. Dalby is 5-1 in the UFC. Every single one of his fights have gone to decision. Every single one.
Every one.
So he's a guy who is a defensive fighter, more of a kicker. And he throws punches, but it's mostly fake punches to really, kind of just get you thinking about the punches, then he'll kick you. That's basically it, and he can get up off the ground pretty well. Yeah. But he's just slower than Bonfim. Bonfim has better combinations. Bonfim puts pressure, and guess what? Look, listen, Dalby has one loss in the UFC. It was 4 fights ago, but it was against Tim Means, and Tim Means is a pressure fighter, but he's a slow pressure fighter. Bonfim
Dirty boxer, yeah.
Yeah, and exactly. And Bonfim is a pressure fighter, but Gabriel Bonfim is a fast pressure fighter.
Yeah, he's in your face.
He's in your face. He's throwing combinations. He's a fast starter. He's got a 4-fight, 1-round finish streak. He finishes the last 4 fights in the first round, and it's for a reason, because he's a fast starter and he pressures right away. And he's got 4 subs in a row. And yeah, man, his guillotine is unbelievable.
He's an incredible fighter.
If you have your neck there for a split second, he'll snatch it.
Yes.
And throw you in a guillotine. And I've seen Dalby have a neck that is a little bit slower getting up, and I saw his neck is there to be snatched. So I'm like, dude, Bonfim by guillotine is what I'm thinking.
Yes.
Now, as far as like how to bet it, for me, I'm definitely gonna slap Gabriel Bonfim on.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but like I watched a fight for doing this research, and I heard Daniel Cormier said when Bonfim is striking, like on his feet striking, he leaves his chin up a little bit. He's like, you better put your chin down.
Yeah.
Against a better striker, this might be a different story.
Right.
But do you think Dalby is a good enough striker to see that and take advantage of it?
If it's punching, no. Dalby really doesn't throw really with any heat on the punches. He's more of a kicker. He's a leg kicker, really. Yeah. And then sometimes he'll go high with a head kick, but mostly just, mostly leg kicks, body kicks here and there. Yeah.
But I think Bonfim's talent level is too good against Dalby.
Also, Dalby is better when he's not getting pressured. Like we said, Tim Means pressured him, and he was all over Dalby. And Tim Means is good, but he's slow. And so you look at Bonfim with the pressure, Dalby's not a great counterpuncher at all. Yeah. So, and it's hard to throw leg kicks and kicks the way you want when you're going backwards, because you're using your feet already. You're using your legs to move. It's hard. You can't kick and move backwards, right? Yeah, so Dalby needs to learn how to counterpunch in order to win this fight, and I just don't think he has the power in his hands. Again, he's more of a kicker. So ultimately, Bonfim gets it done with his speed, his pressure, his combinations are faster.
Level.
Yeah, his leg kicks, his talent, exactly. His record is unbelievable, and it's for a reason. Listen, in the UFC, he only has 2 wins, but they're both submissions in the first round. So he's 2-0 in the UFC. And listen, Dalby's 5-1 in the UFC. However, the odds makers gave Bonfim minus 550. He's that much of a favorite, super favorite on this fight, and it's for a reason. It's because the style matchup. It's because Bonfim is so talented, and it's because he's undefeated with 100% finish rate.
Yeah.
So ultimately,
it's hard to bet against that.
Yeah, ultimately Dalby can do okay as far as trying to throw some kicks to try and make Bonfim kind of and maybe throw some fake punches out there to maybe make Bonfim less confident. But Bonfim, I think the confidence it's just overflowing. He's overflowing with confidence. So it's I think and we know the style matchup backing Dalby up is going to be bad for Dalby. So ultimately, he's getting better. I mean, Bonfim's getting better from fight to fight with his punches. He does stand a little bit close, but it's justified because he puts so much pressure and he throws with so much heat. And he, again, short punches, longer range punches in a combination. He's doing it all, and he's an opportunist, and that's why he's got a four fight first round finish streak. Yeah. There's a reason for it, man. He's on fire
again in this fight, correct?
Yeah, man. I think he probably does get it done in like early. Yeah. And I think it is by guillotine. However, for me, I want to bet it by parlay. But if it's Gabriel Bonfim, a double chance, if it's like minus 150, minus 200, and it's, double chance to win by submission or KO, I think those are good odds.
Bonfim inside the distance.
But ultimately, Dalby has never lost. Like, all he does is go to decision. So ultimately, I like Bonfim, and maybe I want to put him, for double chance as possible, but like, I'm thinking about the odds, we'll see about that. For me, Gabriel Bonfim is definitely, on my parlay for sure. Yeah.
He has to, Dalby has to test his gas tank for him to slow him down, but I don't see it happening.
I mean, Dalby's never been finished in his career, but if there's one guy who's gonna kind of, I think people are heavy on, it's Bonfim with those submissions and just that pressure. So the speed. Let's
Bonfim for the win for sure,
man. Thank you so much for listening.
Like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks, everybody.
YouTube Algo. Thank you.
This is We've Been Drinking MMA podcast, and we are on the main event.
So does that mean that
it's time?
It's time?
That is correct. It is time.
It's time. All right, here we go. Jailton Almeida versus Derek Lewis. This is back in. My pick is Jailton Almeida.
I am picking inside the distance. I don't want to go against Derek Lewis because
hey man, he's a killer.
That's the reason, because I am a big fan. Mm-hmm. So I'm going inside the distance because Almeida is amazing. And Derek Lewis, when he wins, it's a by knockout. So
absolutely,
it's probably gonna be crazy money, but that's what I'm thinking.
I love it. Lewis finished his last fight with the KO in the first round in 33 seconds against DeLima. Dude, bro,
double knee.
Describe that. How the fuck? Like right away, he went for it, right?
Yep.
It was crazy.
No fist bump. It was double. He just ran in double knee. He's like, I just want to do some crazy shit, and it worked out. That's what he said in the octagon.
Yes.
Crazy
dude,
stuff.
Lewis is literally the people's champ. Like, there's no way he's not the people's champ.
Rogan was laughing through the whole octagon.
Hell yeah.
And he took off his pants, started dancing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Do you remember that?
No, I'm gonna rewatch the dance.
Yeah, in the DeLima fight. Yeah. After he knocked him out, and the ref was like, "No more." He took off his shorts. He started put his fists up to his head and started swimming his hips. It was so funny. Hey, and Joe Rogan, you could hear it, not even through a mic or nothing. Him laughing, him cackling.
Listen, we're getting the edit, we're getting the dance, and we're putting it on while you talk about that, Lousy. That's amazing. I forgot, great. Bro. It was a blur. It was such a quick fight. But listen, it felt like he lost to Spivak by repeatedly getting taken down the 2 fights ago, and he's like, you know what? I'm not going to let that happen even a bit, like a chance of it. I'm going to KO this guy with a double knee, flying knee in the air.
It's been so long since I've been in the ring. I just want to feel like what is to hit somebody.
Lewis is the greatest, man. His interviews are legendary. He's just a humanitarian. I remember when Texas was getting flooded. And he was like lifting people, truck. Older people. He was like lifting people to safety when everything was underwater. Like, Lewis is just the people's champ, man. He's earned it.
He's just a genuine person.
Yeah,
good guy.
Yeah. Great guy. The thing is that for me, I love the inside the inside the distance bet, Lousy. It's amazing because ultimately, Derek Lewis is either going to KO the grappler or he's going to get taken down repeatedly, which is what I'm thinking, by Almeida. And Almeida is just faster version than Spivak, which is the guy that repeatedly took down Lewis 2 fights ago. And Almeida is just a faster version of that. And he's just better with the timing as far as he can punch and go for the takedown. Nice chain wrestler. And then, man, his just ground and pound is better than Spivak's as well. So in every way, I feel like Almeida is going to get the finish. So for me, a double chance bet, if it's like minus 200 might be good. That's what I'm thinking about doing. A sub or KO, a double chance for Almeida.
Submission or KO.
Yeah. Now I love inside the distance as well, just in case Lewis does something crazy and gets a crazy knockout.
That's how he wins.
Ultimately, Lewis is he's 2-3 in his last 5. He's 2-4 in his last 6. But ultimately, look who he's lost to, man. Top 10 fighters only.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like great fighters. Pavlovich, who's fighting for the title week after this. Tuivasas, who's top 7. Cyril Gane, who's the belt. He had the interim belt. And then lost it to Ngannou, who had a phenomenal fight versus Tyson Fury and knocked him down. And some people thought he won. Hey, I just had to mention that.
That was one of the most boring heavyweight fights of all time, by the way.
Which one?
The Lewis Ngannou fight.
Lewis Ngannou. Yeah. No. Hey, I was just mentioning that it's crazy how he lost to Gane, who lost to Ngannou, and Ngannou almost beat Tyson Fury it wasn't for the heavyweight title for boxing, but it was a professional fight, and it would have been Tyson Fury's first loss in boxing, and it happened Saturday. So that was amazing. Yeah. I just want to say that, wow, great job for Ngannou. Proved all the doubters wrong and just showed that he's a boxer, man. He can do whatever he wants.
MMA fighters can go against top level boxers and do what they do.
Amazing, yeah. It just grows our sport. It makes MMA more credible to the world. Just proud of Ngannou that he did what he did, and it was amazing. So back to this fight.
Come back to MMA.
come back to the UFC. No, that's not happening. They show him that money,
Yeah, show him that.
But listen. Derek Lewis is a little bit slower a fighter, and that's what is bad about this matchup. Almeida's a fast, speedy takedown artist. Not only that, but when Almeida gets on you, his top control is phenomenal. Also, like his ground and pound, he looks to damage you on the ground. He's not laying and praying. Man, he slips these beautiful punches in, and really, he just gets on you perfectly, where he can kind of shift the knee, trap your arm, move your arm where he wants it, and then start hitting you again. He's just really smart, high IQ, top game when he takes you down, man. He's dangerous.
Amazing fighter.
Amazing.
If he wins this fight, he's gonna probably be top 5,
absolutely,
top 3, whatever.
Yeah.
And then probably maybe be in the contention to go for a
He's
belt.
got good control of his leg kicks. Like, you could tell he's a great athlete. Great, phenomenal, fast, speedy fighter. For heavyweight,
when you see a heavyweight, you don't think of this guy.
Hey, man, I think he's the second fastest fighter at heavyweight. Tom Aspinall deserves to be probably the fastest fighter at heavyweight.
Yeah, he's normally a 205er, by the way.
Almeida?
Yeah, light heavy.
He's huge, though, man.
But he's going to fight in heavy.
Yeah, this is amazing. So ultimately, Jailton Almeida is on like a 14-fight win streak. He's 5-0 in the UFC, and when those 5 wins in the UFC, it's all KOs and submissions for a reason. He ragdolls people. He can strike with them and then take them down. He's super fast for a heavyweight. Obviously, Lousy just said that he's moving up from light heavyweight, and he just controls people and he hurts people.
To go off of what you just said,
yeah.
It matters what kind of weight he's putting on. Like, if it's muscle, that's one thing. But like, if he's putting on just like weight, like
no, but he looked great. Like in his last fight at heavyweight against Rosenstrike.
Okay,
full muscle, still very fast, and just dominating on the ground. And it's just, I think it's gonna be too much for Lewis.
Rosenstrike's a different type.
But listen, we're fans of Derek Lewis. Yeah. We're just looking to see. Hopefully, Derek Lewis can hopefully stop the takedown for a little bit and just throw some punches.
Make it entertaining.
Make it entertaining for at least 30 seconds, guys. Please.
Lewis is gonna be. He's gonna be in there to win.
Yeah, Lewis doesn't complain ever, and he's looking to fight, kill or be killed, and that's what he does. And Jailton Almeida is on a ridiculous, phenomenal win streak. People, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for your support.
Yeah.
We never knew we actually had people that cared about listening to what we had to say until last week.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Appreciate
very,
everybody.
Very cool to hear everything like that.
It's amazing, and without you, this community wouldn't be possible. This is so fun to actually have people commenting and talking about the fights, and we're learning about the fights, and we love to talk and talk back and forth. It's amazing.
We'll talk back.
No problem. Please comment and like and subscribe if you'd wish. And we just want to say a big thank you so much for enjoying our stuff and just coming back for our recaps and our predictions and breakdowns with our highlights. So appreciate you all.
Like, subscribe, comment. Thanks, everybody.